Hey, good evening, everybody. How are you? It is Thursday, December 11th. This is Freddie Ewan, three-time GM of the Year, 2022 Pan Cup champion, the 2023 TPFFKAL regular season champion, 2024 Pan Cup runner-up, and the 2025 did not make the playoffs in the TPFFKAL, the John Galt League. I'm in the playoffs. And I think I might have had the lowest spend for the one that's in the playoffs, which is, of course, greatness. Um, we were talking yesterday a little about why you didn't make the fantasy football playoffs. Some guy in the John Galt League said, I highly disagree with that. And it's like, well, you spent $3,000 on your team, dude. I hope you would make the playoffs. Anyway, we're going to talk today about how to win in the playoffs. It's a whole different season. It's a whole different scenario now. The regular season does not matter. All that matters is that the game you are playing right now. Most leagues are 12-team leagues. The good ones, the tough ones, have six teams with the first two teams getting a bye. There's ones we do this in the John Galt League because we want to keep everyone competitive almost because the spends are different. But there's 18 playoff 8 teams out of the 12 teams make the playoffs, but for the most part, you're usually going to see in the tougher leagues where the regular season matters a lot more, which everyone, it seems to work out a little bit better. There's more pressure on the regular season when there's 12 teams and six make the playoffs because the regular season matters a lot more, where it's 6-6 instead of 8-4. But anyway, we're going to talk to you today about how to win in the fantasy football playoffs. And here's the big thing. Matchups matter so much more in the playoffs. If you are an 8 seed and playing a 1 seed where you know that they have a lot better players than you are, you're going to want to find guys that are, whether they're on your bench or on the waiver wire, guys with high ceilings. That matters more than anything. You're going to lose anyway, so might not put those guys in and take your shot. If there's a running back that's playing, that's averaging 10 to 12 carries, he's getting 50 or 60 yards, he's going to get you 8 to 10 points. That's a guy you probably should be playing. If there's a wide receiver that you have that, hey, this guy is capable, I'll give you a guy, Jameson Williams, on the Detroit Lions. The guy can put up 40 points one night or a donut the next night. That is a guy that you want to start in the playoffs, especially if you are not favored, if you're a lower seed. If you're a higher seed, the opposite is true. You want to put guys that have that have higher floors instead of higher ceilings, like the running back who you know is going to score you 8 points. Matchups matter. Taking a look at your opponent's team and finding correlation. We're going to show you what correlation is all about in just a little bit. And also taking risks. I talk about this all the time. The guy who took my spot in the TPFFKAL fantasy football playoffs, he took so much shit last year, and I don't know why, because he was the guy with the balls to do it. I don't remember the matchup, but I know he had Jamar Gibbs on his team. And I know that he decided to bench Jamar Gibbs for his playoff game. He lost. Gibbs didn't have that great of a game, but the other running back didn't have. If he had started Gibbs, I think he might have won. But that is what you need to do. You need to be able to take risks. And I don't think there is anybody in most leagues that is going to take their best player and put them on the bench. This guy did, which means he was thinking correctly. I'm not saying put your best guy on the bench, but, everything he did made sense. It just didn't work out his way. So what we're gonna go now. We're gonna go right in here and just hop right on in here over to the right screen, hopefully. I had just Baker Mayfield up on my whole thing yesterday. That was a bad idea. Sorry about that. But we're going to go in. The first thing we're going to talk about, here's the Champions League. I don't know if you guys can see the screen right here, but this is me. Hurt so good. Finished 9-5. There's 6 teams in this playoff. I did not get a bye week. I lost last game of the regular season, and I have the 3 seed. I'm going up against Charles. Charles is the 6 seed. Charles had a very good year. This is a 2 quarterback league. Charles basically he start mostly a single quarterback all year long, and he made the playoffs. So you can start 2 quarterbacks or you can start one. But he's got a good team put together, and you take a look at right here when you look for correlation almost. I have Jalen Hurts. Hopefully, he's not going to throw 4 interceptions this week and throw an interception and fumble the ball in the same play. But I have Jalen Hurts right here. He's got Dallas Goedert as tight end, which is not good, which is not good at all for me because anytime Hurts throws the ball at Dallas Goedert, he's going to get points, and he's basically going to stabilize my quarterback, Jalen Hurts. What I did this week is I went ahead and picked up Darius Slayton and Devin Singletary. Whether I'm going to start him or not remains to be seen. I got to take a little bit better look at my lineup and whatnot. But if he's got Jackson Dart starting and I put Slayton in, that will allow me to stabilize his quarterback as well. Running back wise, you look at the running backs, he's got guys with safe floors right here. Cook can go off. Wide receivers, Pickett, Devontae Smith has been awful lately. But the same thing, you're looking for a defense. If you can stream defenses, find the right defense to stream. I got the Bears defense right now. I have the Broncos defense on the bench as I think they play Green Bay. Bears play Cleveland. I don't know if I'm going to play. I'm still don't know what defense I'm going to play right now. It's always not a bad idea to look at his running backs, look at the matchups, and maybe play one of the defenses of the running backs that he has. I'm sure that the Green Bay defense is taken right there. Um, for Josh Jacobs, also that Buffalo's probably taken. I don't know if the Jets D is taken, but I don't know if you could play the Jets D anyway. But basically that's what you want to look for. I got Justin Herbert on the bench. I got Marcus Mariota coming in to start because he plays the Giants. So that's correlation right there too. Mariota and Dart, they're going to be in the same game. That is always a good way to find ways to correlate with one another. Let me see if I can take a look at the other matchup in this one. Let's see here. Here it is. We got my man Rock Patel down there in Houston playing against my man Jeff Epps. Jeff Epps is a diehard Ravens fan that lives in Pittsburgh. Anyway, so Rock's got Lamar Jackson. There is no correlation at all. At his other quarterback, he's got Mahomes going. It's a pretty good quarterback deal, but no correlation at all going either. Purdy is going on the other side. And right here, he's got Jennings going. So Rock right here has Purdy correlating his quarterback right here. That is always going to help the team with the wide receiver. Jared Goff on the other side, he's got Jamison Williams. So Rock has really good correlation right here. The Texans defense and the Eagles defense. Let me look and see if there's any Texans defense or Eagles running backs. He's got Barkley in the Eagles D. That's always a good thing having a halfback running back. The one thing you do is you don't want to have any of your players going up against your defense, especially. Defense matters. I mean, defense can sometimes be the ones that score the points in the playoffs. Let's go to the TPFFKL and see what's going on. I am out of the playoffs. Let's take a look at this week's league matchups. I'll give you a little idea. We have AICOC. This guy, I don't even know what this guy's doing. This dude last year started I think he started he had his best running back going up against the defense that he started. He was out in the first round, but he always seems to make the playoffs, this guy. He's going up against my buddy James. 6-8, he got in because he had the highest points. This dude never changes his team, but obviously he's got a good deal going here. He's got Matthew Stafford as the starting quarterback right now. James, let me see if you have anybody going on. Not really. James has Josh Allen going. Are there any Bills? So there's really no correlations. He's got the Kansas City D going up, and he's got no Kansas City players. Wow, doing a good job. James has the Houston D, and he's got Trey McBride going up against Houston. He might want to take a guess, although Houston's got a great defense, but then again, that's not really correlating too well, as you can see. So, not a whole lot of correlation. This is one of those games that will be straight up. The other thing, can't really talk about it this week, but next week, if you're still alive, what you want to do is you want to see if any of your, make sure you have all your handcuffs. Make sure you have your opponent's handcuffs. And the other thing, too, is take a look at your opponent's roster. Do not be afraid to try to block some of his players on the waiver wire. It wasn't it was only a regular season game, but my boy Jimmy a few years ago did this to me. I had a quarterback on a bye week, and I didn't have a lot of waiver wire money left, and I think he went up and picked up like 3 quarterbacks for the week. I got stuck with the fourth worst quarterback, and he beat my ass, and that was one of the reasons because he basically took all these quarterbacks off the waiver wire and blocked me, which is a genius move. Remember, when you are playing fantasy football, especially in the playoffs, You do not have to score the most points. You have to score more points than your opponent. Many people don't understand that, but all you have to do is score more points than your opponent scores. You don't have to score the most points. Much like a poker tournament, all you got to do is survive. You don't have to knock every player out to win the poker tournament. Although some people do think that, believe it or not. So that's the fun matchup. Then we got my man Teji going up against my boy Bowser. Here's a perfect example. Bowser is very highly unfavored here. This guy got in with a crap team. He's going to want to put in some high upside players. Shador Sanders had a great week last week. He's got Shador going up against Chicago again. He's got Christian Watson going up against Denver. That's going to be tough. Michael Wilson. But, I'm sure there's going to be no Cleveland halfbacks in here. No, Lamar Jackson on Baltimore. Let me see if he's got any ball. So not a whole lot of correlation going on with him. Jacksonville D. Does he have any Jets? Nope, looks good. Let's see. My boy's got the Rams going on against Detroit. Does he have any Lions? He does have a Lion going. So, this is one thing that you want to question. You got the Rams defense going against the Lions. Jamison Williams has a good game, starts scoring some touchdowns. That's going to hurt the Rams a little bit. High upside players. Let me see if there's any guys on the bench that are he's got Ted on the bench, Diggs on the bench, Walker on the bench. Got a good team on the bench. On the other side, my boy, Alec Pierce. Here's a guy. I got it. If Daniel Jones was still going, this would be a high upside player. But reigning in Seattle, I don't know how well that's going to work out. Emmanuel Wilson had something in the air today. Kareem Hunt is going to, that might be Kareem Hunt might be an upside player this week. Going to be very, very interesting. Trey Benson after the year, obviously, but there's the matchup there. Let's go to what everyone wants to see is the John Galt League. See what's going on with the John Galt League as we go to, let's see, the Game Center. The Game Center, let's see what we got up first. We got the Game Center. Let's see. All right. Well, we're gonna hit the first one. We're gonna take a look at I went full retard, which is Chris going up against Joe Murray. This league, once again, this is the league where you can spend as much money as you want. You can pick up anyone you want on the waiver wire. I think Chris spent like $4,700. Joe spent like $1,600 or anything, but you want to look at some correlation here. There are not defenses in this league, just kickers. So you want to get a kicker almost that is going to be either with one of your guys or even on the opposite of your guys. So if your guy is scoring, let's just say Burrow is passing to Chase, high scoring offense, Baltimore, Cincinnati. I think they had a pretty big scoring game a week ago. But Chase, putting in the Cincy kicker might not be a bad idea if he didn't have Aubrey. Correlation wise, Lamar Jackson, does he have anyone go? Mark Andrews. There you go. That's not a bad move. So basically, by him having Mark Andrews, then he is basically stabilizing Lamar Jackson in this thing. I'm never too big on Chris has got a great team, but I'm never too big on, and Baltimore can run the ball, but I'm never too big on having both the quarterback and the running back on the same team. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. He's got Scary McCarry going up in there in the Giants, Tet, Harvey, but Chris is heavily favored in this game. What I would do if I was Chris, he's got a decent bench. He's got Prescott down. He's got Lamb on the bench right now. JJ on the bench, probably a good idea. But what he really wants to look for is he wants to look for safe players. He wants a low floor, while on the other side, my boy Joe wants a high ceiling. Let's see if we can find out. Let's see if we can find out let's go to this league really quick. Let's go to this league really quick, and there we are. Here's the other ones. Let me find our let's take a look at my boy Jimmy. My boy Jimmy, the number one seed, who spent like I know he didn't spend as much as anyone, but Jimmy had a great year. Matthew Stafford, big one. No one thought he was going to be that good. He was probably one of the lowest quarterbacks picked. Matthew Stafford, also not big on that with the quarterback and running back, but they're playing Detroit. Should be a high game. As you see, there's a lot of correlation. His first guy is this Detroit Rams game. I bet the over for that is huge. He's got, let's see, he's got Williams, he's got Waddle, has Jake Elliott on there. Not a bad lineup. And he's going up against Virginia Vibes. My boy DJ. Same thing with DJ. DJ's the 8 seed. He's the 1 seed you want to put in high upside guys. He's got two tight ends going, Dallas Goedert, Travis Kelce. If you can find someone, the Rams only pretty much throw to two receivers, but so if you could find maybe the Rams kicker and start the Rams kicker if he's available, that would be something that you want to do. Um, doesn't really have Mayfield matching with everyone. Baker, like I said, I might want to put this is what I might want to put. I might want to really put Goff in there. Have Goff go up against Stafford and he's gonna stabilize Puka. Same thing with Gibbs. If he throws the ball off to Gibbs a lot, that I might be starting Goff right here. That's just my mine. And if there's any high upside, Higgins has a lot of high upside. Ali Gallimore, who does Tennessee play San Francisco? Probably not. Tyreek Hill, of course, out for the year. We don't know what's going to come back with Tyreek Hill. Let's take a look back just a little bit. Two more games we're going to get to. We're going to get to Dang Sanity and Semi-Automatic gets the 5th seed. Little lucky there by getting the 5th seed. Congratulations, Semi-Automatic, for getting the 5th seed. Well played. You go up against Mike Dang. Mike Dang. Happy birthday to your daughter. But anyway, Semi-Automatic Trevor Lawrence, I love this week. Great guy to have in there. Trevor Lawrence, seeing if he gets any kind of correlation on the air side. No, not really. Let's take a look at Drake May. Drake May, no, not really. So not a whole lot of correlation. Loop versus Little. Here we go, right here. This is a great job by Dang, having Little, the Jacksonville kicker, with Lawrence. So Lawrence scores points. Lawrence is bringing the ball down the field. Getting in the red zone. Little's going to get more points. Help stabilize the quarterback a little bit more. Um, Brown, a chain, both of these running backs right here, huge upside going up against Bucky Irvin, Hampton. Those guys are that's both of those guys right now. They're young players, both pretty questionable. George Pickens, hell of a year, and of course JSN has probably been the fantasy player of the year. Pitts, I think, might be in a big game tonight. Um, on the other side, he's got Algier going right now. I want to know about that. Let's take a look down a little bit, see if there's anyone else you can put in. I would rather put in Slayton if I were him. Anyone besides Algier, some guys with some high upside. Quentin Johnson might even be a guy that you want to put in who has some high upside, but I would definitely be putting in Slayton or Johnson in here, definitely before Algier, definitely without a doubt. But then again, that's why I am the fantasy football god and others aren't. And then our team, won't you get Be My Neighbors going up against Kamala's bench warmers? Kamala's bench warmers, Tristan spent $450,000 for his team, and we spent like $12, but we're in the playoffs. Way behind, I think he's favored to beat us by a ton. Let me see if there's anything that we can do here. We have Pat Mahomes as our quarterback. Luckily, when we look at this, it does not look like he's got any Kansas City guys to stabilize. He's got Josh Allen going. I know for a fact that we do not have any Buffalo wide receivers. This is a game right now where I don't really know what my lineup's going to be. We have four pretty decent backs in Breece Hall, Will Marks, Kenneth Walker, and Quinton Judkins. We've been playing mostly those four all year. We've been playing four. There's two running backs, two wide receivers, tight end, and then two flex players. Most of the time, our two flex players has been running backs. We do have some guys on the bench with some high upside. Pittman, like I said, Pittman a week ago with Daniel Jones, sure, definitely not going to start him this week. Same thing with Pierce, not going to start him this week. I have a couple tight ends that I've been looking at. As you can see, Likely is a guy that I like playing Cincinnati, might have a good chance, but I also really like Loveland this week going up against Cleveland. Gadsden was another guy, but I've got Gadsden on the bench. And of course, Neighbors, we named our team after Won't You Be My Neighbors. On the other side, he's got Jalen Hurts on the bench. This guy is, I think he said Jalen Hurts on the bench. Yeah, this is the only league only league I'm in where some guys got Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, and I don't think Jalen Hurts has played in all year. DJ Moore, big downer for Chicago. But as you can see, he's got DK Metcalf, Wendell Robinson, Trey McBride, who has had a hell of a year. It's gonna be hard to find some correlation on here. The one, he's got CMC too. The one thing we could think about is, I know he was on the waiver wires picking up the San Francisco kicker, so McCaffrey gets a little bit to stabilize it a little bit, but probably not going to make that big of a difference. This is going to be tough team, but Cook playing New England, it's going to be an interesting game. And we're going to definitely need, we got Watson in there too, but he's going up against the Denver defense, which I don't like. So I got to tinker around with this lineup a little bit more. And one guy that I've been looking at starting probably is Jennings. He gets a little correlation on the side with McCaffrey. They do play Tennessee. Jennings is due for a breakout game. So we'll see about that. Jerry Jeudy had a breakout game a few weeks ago, and of course I had him on the bench. But I really need to figure out almost. I don't think when you are in a situation when you have a team so much favored against you that starting more running backs is the key. I think it's probably always starting more wide receivers, and on the other side of that. So that's how you win in the fantasy football playoffs. Um, and a lot of luck has to go with it. A lot of luck has to go with it. You see things. There's a couple times where I've gone to the fantasy finals or whatnot, but the two teams in the semifinals that I didn't play would have kicked both our asses. We win a game by we score 98 points and the other guy scores 94 points while the other team score 180 and 170. That's just the way the ball rolls, baby. That's just you need a lot of luck. You need to pick up aces and kings at this time of the year. Make sure that everything is good and make sure that everything's right. Keep an eye on your quarterback. Look to stream defenses. Um, don't be afraid to take out your quarterback. Put somebody else in. Matchups play a huge role. Like I can tell you for 1 week, Justin Jefferson is someone you probably do not want to start this week. He was awful last week. Um, matchups play such a key in this one. Anyway, first games tonight, we are going to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. Mike Evans is back. I would not be starting Mike Evans tonight. He's going to be playing in a limited fashion. I wouldn't be starting Baker Mayfield tonight either, although they do play Atlanta. Atlanta defense has been decent. And I love Emeka. I love the guy, but probably would not be starting Emeka either tonight. Emeka and Baker have just not been good recently. And this is a game where, especially if you bye week, cousin Pat, to really take a watch and say, hey, is Baker going to be my guy, or can I find somebody else? Matchups. This is what to watch for. Anyway, that's the show. Hope everyone had a great night. Coming from you from my mom's basement, this is Freddie Ewan with the Fantasy Football Show. That Fantasy Football Show, everyone have a great evening. Watch my Eagles kick the shit out of the Raiders on Sunday. We better, man. We better. Anyway, have a great night. Thanks, guys.